KSJE and the Farmington Public Library present Cuentos Hahne and Tales.
Hello, my name is Beth Troxell. I'm from the Farmington Public Library, and I'm here to read you some books from our collection. The first book that I have picked is called Waynetta and the Cornstalk, a Texas fairy tale by Helen Ketteman. See if you recognize where this fairy tale came from. Once, a whip of a girl named Waynetta lived with her ma on a ranch in the poorest, scrubbiest part of Texas. They worked hard as egg-legged mules, but barely scraped by. One long, dry summer, the well bottomed out, the pastures dried up, and the longhorn cattle got so thin it took 3 of them standing together to cast a shadow. Waynetta and her ma had to sell off the longhorns until only one was left. Finally, Ma gave up altogether. "We've run out of money to buy feed, Waynetta. You'd best sell the last critter for it starves." Waynetta headed out with the longhorn. After a while, she met a stranger. "Howdy, missy," he said. "Where are you taking that sorry-looking critter?" "I aim to sell him," Waynetta answered. "How's about trading him for a handful of magic corn?" asked the stranger. "Magic corn?" asked Waynetta. "What does it do?" "These corn kernels will bring you good luck, little lady." "We sure could use some luck," Waynetta said. "It's a deal." When she got home, Waynetta dropped the kernels in Ma's hands. "Look," she said with a grin, "magic corn!" Ma frowned. "You must be chuckle-headed, girl. The only magic this corn's got is the disappearing kind." She tossed them out the window. Waynetta felt lower than the coyote in the canyon. How could she make it up to Ma? The next morning, Waynetta looked out the window. A giant cornstalk blocked the sun. She hurried outside. "That looks like magic to me," she said, "and I aim to find some luck." She started climbing. When she broke through the clouds, Waynetta could hardly believe her eyes. There was the biggest ranch she'd ever seen. She walked to the front door. It was so huge she could barely reach over the doorstep. She gathered her courage and knocked. A giant woman opened the door. "Why, you're as pretty as a bluebonnet. Where'd you come from?" "I climbed a giant cornstalk, ma'am," she answered Waynetta. The giant woman picked up Waynetta. "I reckon you come to take back the things my husband stole from your ma years ago." She set Waynetta on a giant-sized table. "You best have a bite to eat. And be careful, darling. My husband's a mean one." Waynetta was chowing down on a great big chicken fried steak when a loud, hungry voice called, "Fee-fi-fo-fat, I think I smell a cowgirl brat. Fee-fi-fo-feet, chicken fried cowgirl is what I'll eat." "Hide!" the giant woman whispered. Waynetta hid behind a bowl of beans just as the giant stomped into the room. The giant yanked open a pantry door. Out strolled a longhorn no bigger than a barn cat. He stroked his ear, and a golden cowpat fell to the floor. "I love gold!" the giant shouted. Next, he took out a teeny lariat and whirled it backwards over his head. He looped it around a thimble-sized bucket. "I love this rope. It never misses." Finally, he tilted the tiny bucket over a huge tub. Water poured into the tub, filling it. "I love that bucket. It never runs out of water." He dropped the rope on the floor, looped the bucket around his peaky, and climbed in the tub to soak. Soon he fell asleep. Waynetta took a deep breath. "With those things and some hard work, Ma and I can make our own luck." Waynetta climbed off the table and tiptoed to the tub. She picked up the lariat and lassoed the longhorn, but when she tried to slip the bucket off the giant's picky, he woke up. Waynetta hightailed it to the cornstalk and scrambled down to the ground where Ma was waiting. Ma gasped. "Why, that looks like my little longhorn missing all these years." She rubbed its ear, and sure enough, a golden cowpat fell to the ground. "It's him, Ma," said Waynetta. "Now we can buy a new herd of cattle." "Waynetta, darling," said Ma, "sometimes I wonder if that taco brain of yours is a bit short of filling. Gold or no gold, we can't raise cattle without water." "That's why I'm going back, Ma, to get that magic bucket." Waynetta hid the lariat under her hat and climbed the cornstalk again. The giant's wife let her in. "I need that bucket, ma'am," said Waynetta. The giant woman nodded. "Be extra careful. My husband's mad as a fire ant." From the hallway, the giant's voice thundered. "Fee, fi, fo, fin, I smell that cowgirl brat again. Fee, fi, fo, fits, I'll cook myself some cowgirl grits." As the giant stormed into the kitchen, Waynetta ran right between his boots and grabbed the bucket. "Well, if it ain't the seasoning for my grits," the giant shouted. He stomped after her. Waynetta raced to the cornstalk. She was almost there when the giant grabbed her. "I feel hungry and you look tasty," he roared. Waynetta whirled the lariat. "Do your stuff, rope!" She lassoed the giant's nose and tugged hard. "Arrgh!" yelled the giant, dropping Waynetta. Waynetta leapt on the cornstalk. The giant climbed after her. "Fee, fi, fo, fow, that cowgirl brat has had it now. Fee, fi, fo, few, that cowgirl's going to be barbecue." Ma was waiting on the ground with the axe. "Bridle your jaw, mister," she shouted. "That cowgirl's my daughter." The instant Waynetta leapt off the cornstalk, Ma swung the axe, and the 3 strong blows chopped the cornstalk down. Thwunk! The giant crashed to the ground, making a deep giant-shaped hole. Waynetta tipped the bucket over the hole. "I hope that giant can swim," she said. In no time, the hole became a fine lake. With plenty of water, grass grew on the ranch once again. With the golden cow patties, Waynetta and her ma bought a new herd of longhorns. As for the giant, he bumped his head so hard in the fall, it knocked the mean right out of him. He and his wife stayed on the ranch and worked alongside Waynetta and her ma. And they all lived happy as June bugs ever after. So that was Waynetta and the Cornstalk. The next book that I would like to read to you is A Catfish Tale. So this is going to be by Whitney Stewart, and this takes us over to Louisiana. You ever heard the story of the fisherman and his wife? It's an old tale my papa told me when I was just a hatchling. Some say it's a lie, but papa swore it all happened with his own eyes. A sweet young couple named Jack and Jolie lived way on down the bayou. Jack liked to pull his skiff through the cypress needs to his favorite fishing hole, and Jolie peppered seafood gumbo so hot it made her husband's head sweat. Each night the woman sang so true, even the cicadas hushed up to listen. One day, Jack's fishing pole started bending and shaking. He grabbed a hold and pulled so hard that a catfish sprung from the water. "Hold on there!" the catfish cried. "Don't be thinking about supper when you look at me. I'm a magic catfish, and I'd spoil your gumbo pot." Jack never did hear Catfish talk before, and it gave him a fright. So he freed that jabbering critter and paddled home for the night. "You did what?" Jolie hollered when Jack told her his catfish tale. "You didn't ask even for one small wish?" Jack looked around and scratched his head. "What could I wish for? I don't need anything more." Jolie's face turned crawfish red. "Do you have eyes inside your head? This shack is sinking in the mud. Go ask for a proper house where I can sing to a crowd." Jack paddled back out to the swamp to beg that catfish to show his whiskers again, and he asked for Jolie's house. The catfish just grinned and said, "Oh, toolaloo, if it ain't the easiest thing to do." Jack had never seen a house so big, but Jolie filled it with friends and sang through the night. At breakfast, she announced, "I'm going to take my show on the road. All I need is a paddle wheel boat. Go ask that catfish for one more little thing." Jack thought Jolie was asking for far too much, but the catfish liked his fisherman. He smiled real wide and said, "Tooloo-loo, if that ain't the easiest thing to do." Jolie stood at the bow of her boat and sang to her fans. Up and down the river they called her the Queen of Mississippi. Jolie loved being queen. Poor Jack huddled in a cabin with an aching head. All that carrying on was too much for him, and he missed his fishing pole. So back he went to the bayou to find his catfish friend. Jolie filled the nightclubs of New Orleans. Her name was on the front page of every newspaper. Mardi Gras season was coming soon. People loved the parades. "I want to be queen of Mardi Gras," Jolie wrote to Jack. "Go ask the catfish for one more little thing." Jack found the catfish in the same old place, and he asked his new friend, "Could Jolie have just one more wish?" And this was his friend's reply. "Ah, toolaloo, if that ain't the easiest thing to do." Jolie wore a diamond crown and a white satin gown. She rode on a float past cheering crowds, but nobody could hear her sing. She tried to throw out Mardi Gras beads and tangled it in her crown. Oh, but how she loved being queen. When carnival was over, she missed her royal robes, so she wrote her husband again and said, "I want to be queen of the bayou. Go ask that catfish for one more little thing." Now this was just too much, but Jack asked the catfish anyway. And you know what the catfish said? "Oh, toolaloo, if that ain't the easiest thing to do." In a spectacle that outshined the sun, pelicans crowned Jolie queen. She stepped onto the stage, and her friends applauded. Musicians blared their horns. Jolie cleared her throat, closed her eyes, and took a deep breath and began to sing. All at once the wind started to howl. Black clouds filled the sky. Trees twisted and turned, and fish jumped from the river. Jolie's voice stirred up a hurricane, and people ran for cover. Thunder boomed, and lightning struck the church steeple. Snakes, alligators, and swamp creatures slithered up the riverbank. Ghosts and goblins flew from the cemeteries, and pirate skeletons escaped watery graves to dance in the streets. The storm sped across the stage, swooped Jolie up, and spun her through the sky and into the treetops. Jolie hung on the branch like a crumpled doll. She sang out an urgent message to a passing pelican. "I've had enough of being a queen. Tell my husband to ask that catfish for one more little thing." Jack paddled faster than the alligator could swish his tail. He bade the catfish for one last wish. He meant it, really. One last wish. And what do you think the catfish said? Nope, you'd be wrong. He just winked at Jack and disappeared beneath the water. 'Cause Jolie didn't need nothing more. So that was The Catfish Tale by Whitney Steward. Okay, so then I have one more little story. This was Once There Was a Story by Jane Yolen. Once There Was a Story. And she has a collection of different stories. And so I'd like to pick a story from that collection. And the story that I picked was The Mean Tiger and the Hare. And this is a story from Korea. When tigers still lived in the Korean hills, there was an especially mean tiger. The older he got, the meaner he got, especially when he was hungry. And he was always hungry. One day, Mean Tiger came across a little hare gathering fresh grass for dinner. Mean Tiger growled, "I'm hungry, and I'm going to eat you." Now Little Hare knew that running away would do him no good. Mean Tiger was bigger, stronger, and faster than he was. Little Hare would have to outthink him. So he said, "Dear Uncle Tiger, I've been waiting for you. I've got delicious food down in the valley. Just follow me." Mean Tiger thought, "I'll eat his delicious food and then eat him after." As they walked along, Little Hare picked up small round stones and put them in his sack. "Why are you putting stones in your sack?" asked Mean Tiger. "They're delicious baked. I call them hard cakes," said Little Hare. "I have 10 for our dinner. 5 for you, 5 for me." Mean Tiger wanted all 10 for himself. Once in the valley, Little Hare started a fire. When it was a roar, he put the stones in. Mean Tiger watched hungrily. Little Hare said, "I'll get some fine bean sauce of Mother's. It will make the cakes taste even better. Don't eat until I return." Mean Tiger counted the stone cakes in the fire and saw there were 11, not 10. He thought, "Little Hare won't notice if I eat just that one." He reached in, brought out the hot stone, and swallowed it greedily. It burned his mouth and tongue, and he leaped up and ran around crying out loud. It took him a month before he could eat anything else. Once he was mended, Mean Tiger was meaner than before and hungrier than ever. He growled and howled around the hills. Eventually he found Little Hare again, standing near a bush in the middle of a field where there were hundreds of sparrows flying about. "You tricked me," he roared. "I haven't been able to eat for a month. Now I'm going to eat you." Little Hare knew he'd fooled Mean Tiger once, but he could do it twice. He thought and thought. Then he said, "If you'd waited for the bean sauce, you wouldn't have burned your mouth, Uncle Tiger. But I forgive you. See all these sparrows? I'm catching them for you." Deep in his heart, Mean Tiger knew Little Hare was right. He hadn't waited for the bean sauce, and there were hundreds of sparrows. What a grand meal that would be! Afterward, he would eat Little Hare too. "Look up at that sky, Uncle Tiger," said Little Hare. "Open your mouth. I'll drive the sparrows right in, and you won't even have to chew." Well, Mean Tiger's teeth had gotten very loose after a month of not eating, so he sat right down right next to the bush, opened his mouth, and waited. Little Hare called out, "Here they come, Uncle Tiger. Better close your eyes so they won't hurt you." But all the while he was setting the bush on fire. To Mean Tiger, the crack, crack, crackle of the flames sounded like hundreds of birds twittering. By the time he finally opened his eyes, his fur was aflame. He leaped up, his beautiful fur coat burning down to his skin. He had to stay in his cave for a month till it grew back, because otherwise the other animals would laugh at him. A month later it was winter. Mean Tiger's fur had finally grown back. He went into the valley, stalking about the farms, looking for cattle to eat, but they'd all been locked in barns. So he went down to the river, thinking about fish, but not knowing how to catch any. There by the river bank was little Hare. "You rascal!" shouted Mean Tiger. "This time I'm eating you for sure." Little Hare thought even more quickly than before. "I'm glad you found me, Uncle Tiger, because if you're truly hungry, the river is full of fish this time of year." Mean Tiger roared, "I don't know how to catch the fish, but I do know how to catch little hares." Little Hare answered, "I'd be honored to teach you, Uncle." "Are you trying to fool me again?" "I didn't fool you before. It was your own greed that did you in." Well, Mean Tiger had to agree there was some truth in that, so he nodded. "All right." Little Hare said, "Do you see my scruffy tail? I dip it in the water and catch one fish at a time. But with your beautiful long tail, you'll be able to catch many fish more." "With my tail?" "If a little hare can do such a thing, a magnificent tiger could do even better." So Mean Tiger dipped his tail into the cold water, thinking, "There will be many fish today, and Hare after." So he waited, tail in the water, while Little Hare waded downriver to scare the fish toward him. Little Fish called out, "I know it's cold, but think of all the fish I'm sending upstream. So many will grab your tail. It will begin to feel very heavy." Sure enough, his tail began to feel very, very heavy. But what he didn't know was that as the sun went down, the river water had frozen all around his tail. "Lift your tail, Uncle," cried Little Hare. "You must have many fish now." But of course it was not the fish who was caught. It was Mean Tiger. Early next morning, the villagers found Mean Tiger. They put a rope around his neck, put him in a cage, and took him to a zoo, and he never troubled Little Hare again. And the moral of the story was meanness finds its own reward when your tail's stiff as a board. So that was a story in the book called Once There Was a Story by Jane Yolen. If you are interested in checking out more books, you can come to the Farmington Public Library, or you can also go to www.infoway.org for more information about our programs. I am Beth Troxell from the Farmington Public Library. Thank you for listening.
This has been Cuentos Hahne and Tales, presented by the Farmington Public Library and KSJE 90.9 FM.